Okay, Kaitlyn, can you tell me how you plan your writing lesson to go for tomorrow?
Sure. So it kind of ties in with what we did today with our comprehension. So Gabriel's been really focused on different myths. So last week we looked at Greek mythology.
Mm-hmm.
And so this week I'm trying to tie in some of his funds of knowledge in terms of his Filipino background. So we're looking at Filipino myths.
Okay.
So my goal for writing is to have him create his own Filipino myth. So he's visited a few times, his parents speak the language, and through our conversation today and the book that we read, he was able to pick out different games and different foods and correcting me on how to pronounce things. So my idea for tomorrow is brainstorming different landmarks,
Okay.
which he could write about, and then kind of coming up with a story to
Okay.
go along with that.
So I hear you saying that you're going to kind of pull some background knowledge that he has and
Yes.
funds of knowledge-wise, and kind of connect these myths to what he already knows. When you said you're going to look for locations, are these going to be locations that he already knows or new locations?
So hopefully,
Okay.
yes. When we spoke today, he did share that he doesn't remember too much.
Okay.
But through our conversation and through the text that we read today, there was more coming out through
Okay.
the conversation. So if he's not able to share a lot tomorrow, I found a website full of Filipino landmarks. So in terms of mountains, bodies of river, even if he wanted to choose like why a food came to be popular in the Philippines or a game, he was really excited about a game that he has at home that he plays. So I'm kind of leaving it open-ended for him to choose, but
Okay.
I'm going to have something ready on the computer just in case he's not able to fully brainstorm.
Okay, great. So I hear you saying that you're going to have some options and some knowledge and some things to
Yes.
share if he needs them.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you said locations and maybe foods, but are there like either like landmarks or anything else you could use? I
Yes.
guess if he. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if he were to bring up something that maybe doesn't fit what you already have,
Mhm.
could you still like use that?
that.
And
So Gabriel is someone who is really driven based on like understanding why we're doing things.
okay.
So he's also really excited too when I say like, oh, well, you're teaching me a lot about this, which was very common with Greek mythology and now even the Philippines.
Yeah.
So kind of motivating him by saying, oh, I'm not really familiar with that. Why don't we look it up together? And kind of researching it together based on his knowledge of whatever landmark he chooses or food or whatever that may be. And then me learning with him
Okay.
is something that he really, really likes, which kind of reminds me of your theorist that you talked about today.
Yes.
And just kind of like
My brain was just thinking about that too.
So letting the kids play more of a role instead of me teaching him everything.
Yeah, and letting them almost guide the conversation.
Yes,
and yes.
that was liberation education,
Yes,
right?
nice job.
Trying to implement that into my tutoring, I think would be very beneficial for him.
Yes, definitely. So do you plan to do any sort of modeling for him before? And I know he's just brainstorming ideas
Yes.
tomorrow, but as you move on with the lessons, how might you kind of go about doing that?
Because I don't think brainstorming is going to take too awfully long, I want to transition that into creating the story.
Okay.
So the first step is going to be him picking the topic or the landmark that he wants to write about.
Okay.
And then transitioning into using the graphic organizer that we used today. So we used the Somebody Wanted But So.
Can you
graphic
explain
organizer.
that a little bit? Because I
Sure.
don't know how actually
So
familiar I am with
it
that.
talks about like the somebody, who it is,
Okay.
what they wanted from the story, but is the problem,
Okay.
so how they solved it, and then is almost the conclusion.
Oh, that's neat. So did you find that was a good tool to use for like myths and kind of this
Yes.
genre?
When we read the story today, it was summarizing was
Okay.
our focus, so it really broke it down into helping him understand.
Mm-hmm.
So what my plan is for using that for writing is brainstorming all the different names that he could do for the somebody.
Okay.
And then kind of going through and saying, oh, I really like that name. I think it ties into the
Okay.
culture. Pick that. And then different things that they wanted. So the story that we read today was about playing hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that he picked, a certain food. How did that food come to be? Oh, it could have been that it fell from the sky. It could have been someone found it in the woods. Someone did this.
Okay.
And just coming up with all the different options So by the end of tomorrow, my goal is for him to be able to narrow down his ideas.
Okay.
So the following day, we can create a story together.
Okay, great. So let me just kind of repeat that back to make sure I'm understanding it. So he'll be coming up with multiple ideas, but with the end goal of choosing one that he'll focus on for the myth? Okay.
To be able to piece that together more independently the next day.
Oh, great. I think that will be an interesting thing to see where it goes, and for you not really knowing
yes,
like where he's going to go with this and what he's going to do will be interesting. What specifically does the graphic organizer look like? I know we don't have it in front of us, but is it organized by those words?
Yes, and it even, so when it says, like the someone, right underneath it says who are the main characters.
Oh, okay.
So it almost has a prompt to allow
like
him to be more independent. Just because I realize through my own experience that I often model too much or I give too many answers.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that by having those little like sentence starter type things or those questions there, it will allow him to be more independent in coming up with the brainstorming, different ideas and things.
Okay. So you had mentioned before that you might want me to look at your directions during your lesson. Can you explain a little bit what you're thinking about?
So I recognize that in writing, there's not a lot of modeling to be doing. And because my goal is to have him be more independent, I would like for you to see if what I am telling him we're doing translates into him being able to actually meet my expectations.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking in terms of data collection is kind of collecting the questions that I'm saying and the prompting that I'm doing and his response. I'm really interested in knowing what his response is. If he's able to say okay and get right to work, or if he's being playful because maybe my question wasn't direct enough.
Okay, and so I'm hearing you say you want me to write down the questions and his response.
Yes.
And then I guess also, too, if any follow-up questions.
Exactly.
Okay. Because I know last time you had me look at your prompting.
Yes.
So this time I'll look specifically for the questions. Is there a specific way you would like me to take the data? Or
just in terms of like a chart.
Okay.
I like charts.
Yeah, listen, that's fine with me.
It's nice and visual for me.
It is. So just question and answer on the chart then?
That would be great.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to seeing this because I think that it's going to be a fun lesson and a fun activity to do. So I'm looking forward to it and kind of seeing where he goes with it. So
okay. Well, I look forward to you coming in.
Oh, thanks. I'll see you tomorrow.